Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today I have a king representing two states, both the state of Oregon and the state of Arizona. Let me tell you a little bit about this individual named Jake Rockwell. He is a principal broker and owner. His area is all markets. Let me give you Jake's background. Jake attended college at Southern Oregon University and graduated in 1997 with a bachelor's degree in marketing and minor in economics. Since college, Jake has been an assistant manager for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, owned and operated several businesses such as Osprey Pub, Rockwell Billiards, Professor Print, as well as Valley Boys Auto Sales in Medford. While owning Rockwell Billiards, Jake gained national recognition and publicity through extensive marketing efforts, as well as his workings with Joseph Gannascoli, also known as Vito, from The Sopranos. He was featured in the 2007 December issue of Entrepreneur magazine. Here are Jake's accomplishments. Jake was born and raised throughout Oregon, settled in Southern Oregon in 1992. Has a beautiful wife named Sherrie and a handsome son named Ethan. Makes up his family of three. Jake is highly motivated and driven individual with great personality that attracts a vast assortment of people. His experience, likability, and keen sense of humor has allowed him to grow a large network of friends and colleagues in Southern Oregon region over the last 20 years. Jake Rockwell and his team have achieved remarkable success with over $1 billion in sales and thousands of clients served over the years. Their outstanding results have positioned them as one of the top teams, not only in Southern Oregon, but also statewide in greater Phoenix, Arizona area. Throughout the years, Jake and his team have earned numerous awards for their production, innovative marketing, and advanced technology, which we'll dive deeper into. With over 30 years of combined experience in buying and selling real estate in Southern Oregon, Jake possesses extensive knowledge of the Medford, Ashland, Grants Pass, and surrounding markets. His expertise in investment properties, including residential rentals, commercial properties, and flips, make him an ideal choice for your next realtor. Additionally, Jake's business and marketing acumen, particularly in the tech age, equips him with the skills necessary to effectively market real estate through online, print, and video media. He also holds the esteemed E-Pro Realtor Certification. Jake and his team at the Rockwell Group cater to buyers, sellers, and investors alike. They specialize in assisting first-time home buyers, individuals relocating, those looking to upgrade or downsize, and investors interested in single-family rentals, duplexes, four-plexes, and small businesses. His mobile number is 541-292-4444. You can also reach him at jake@rockwellrealestate.com. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Jake. Jake,
how are you doing?
Doing well, man. How are you today? Feeling
good.
Never?
Can you hear me all right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great to hear, man. Great to hear. Thank you. It's an honor and pleasure to have you on the show, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to it.
No problem at all, man. Jake, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and like what made you want to serve the people in the real estate industry, even after building like a large network, I guess, in billiards I can get?
Yeah, I've always been interested in real estate. I liked early on, I wanted to invest in real estate. I had, even from buying my first house and turning it into a rental while I was living there and so forth. But I got into it later than I probably should have as a real estate broker. But in 2013, after lots of success with some of those businesses that you had named, we
lost him for a second, ladies and gentlemen.
Are you there?
Yep. Yeah. Sorry. Can you continue?
Yeah. So in 2013, after crashing, I turned to getting my real estate license, and I had an agent that was doing well. I saw him having some success, and so I got my license and I jumped full in, and I told myself that I got to give it my all to know if it's something that I could accomplish and do. And sure enough, came out swinging with selling 30, 40 homes my first year, and eventually it kind of evolved into more of a business. I think that first year did about 80. It was doing those transactions. It was like 80 hours a week of work. And I told my wife, I was like, I don't care how much money it is, I'm not doing it, because I was used to owning my own businesses, having employees, and having a little bit of work-life balance, right? So that's when I hired, my first assistant / buyer's agent for the team.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're basically a sole proprietor that first year. Do you remember how you gained your first client, and what do you think led to being you a top producer year one out of the gate? Because most like I think 92% of the people or 80% of the people drop off after year one.
Yeah, like obviously I had experience in business
Mhm.
and, very determined. I'm a deep personality and early on in the success of my other businesses, and the financial crash wasn't due to, it was due to personal stuff, and it was really due to partying too much and drinking too much, and so I quit drinking. I picked myself up, dusted myself off, and had to rebuild everything, and rebuilt bigger and stronger. But I had previous experience in businesses, and there was early on there was doubt on, am I just getting lucky, right?
Oh wow.
And so that's having that experience obviously helped. But when I jumped in, I went to the office every day. I made calls, I networked, and I did everything possible to get conversations going. And I think my first transaction happened probably only 90 days in, and which is, not real fast, but and that was, maybe late fall. And then I realized over the holiday I didn't have much going on, and then in January just really picked up the phone, did a lot of work, and then here we are 11 years later.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
You don't know how fast time goes until you get there. Um,
Yeah, and probably the biggest turning point was bringing that first person on and knowing that I had handed them a client on a Sunday to go show homes, even though that was going to take, three, four, $5,000 out of my pocket because I was splitting that commission with them, and that was a big turning point. Being able to take a step back so that I could take multiple steps forward. And then it slowly evolved into, a 40, 50 person team that with a completely different focus as a business than when I started.
that makes total sense, Jake. Makes total sense. How do you build the trust to be willing to delegate and manage people? Because I'm sure you're like a purebred entrepreneur. You'd rather do it all yourself. But how do you like have the will to trust other people, knowing that they with the proper expectations?
Yeah, it's tough, especially for people that have a similar personality as I do, and because at some point you start thinking, okay, well, there's nobody can do it as good as me, but you learn, and through reading books and learning from other leaders, that at some point you'll never get there until you at least step off that cliff, right? And then it's very it's very freeing, when you let something go and it's now off your plate. It's like you never want that back on your plate again, and you figure out whatever you have to do to help that person or whoever's handling that get better. And sometimes there's changes, but it doesn't mean you want it necessarily back. And so putting that trust, it's really getting to know people, having a good communication, good relationship, finding the right people that want to get better and want to learn. And that's probably the hardest part, is finding someone that has that determination, shares the same values as you do, and wants growth.
You're completely right, Jake. Yeah, you're helping the trajectory of the people who join your vision, and also you're helping the trajectory of building generational for your clients. But Sister Universe, what's the most misunderstood thing about you, your industry, and your work? Would you say?
Well, probably in me is, people, they only see the Facebook posts of me having fun. And so they think that I don't ever work. And I remind people, hey, I don't post at 3 a.m. when I'm sending off emails. I don't post a picture of myself in bed filling out a form, so I think they don't, for me, it's, I work a lot, but I like the work that I do, right? And that's the key. But as an industry, I think that there's two different ways of looking at it. There's one, the most misunderstood thing for people getting into the industry, wanting to become agents, which is a lot of what I deal with, is the expectations. They also are looking on social media at the successes of what agents are doing, the rewards of their success, not realizing that success doesn't come without effort, right? And though this is an extremely easy business, in my opinion, it takes consistency to make it easy. And so I think the misconception is what it takes to be successful as a real estate agent in the business.
No, you're totally right. You're totally right. Yeah. You're funny. Social media can be a fallacy almost sometimes. Everyone just puts their highlight reel. They don't really show the nitty gritty stuff sometimes.
Right.
Yeah. If you could change one thing about the industry, what would it be and why?
One thing in the industry that I'd want to change. I don't know. I don't think, probably the biggest thing that I get frustrated with change of the industry is when people try to stop the change, the natural change of an industry, any industry. And this industry has experienced some big changes recently.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of battling against change when, in all actuality, the reason industries change are because customers want it to change. And when you fight that, you're going against what the end consumer wants. And so really what I want to change is stop trying to change what consumers want. Give them what they want and roll with that change and adjust and pivot and so forth. And without going into great detail with the NAR settlement and everything there, I have very strong opinions with all of that. There's a lot of people that are really against Zillow in our industry because they think that they're stealing all of our leads and our information to sell those leads back to us. But Zillow is where they're at because customers want Zillow. They want Zillow. They want to go to a platform that provides them value, and Zillow's accomplished that. And so you can't, if that's what customers want, then go compete against Zillow and get it for yourself.
Yeah,
so
totally right.
Just an example.
No, that's a great example. Now you bring up a great point, Jake. You really do pick up a great point. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys don't know, Jake was crushing it in Oregon. I'm talking crushing it. Jake, what made you want to start a new shop in Arizona when you were a king in Oregon? Can you tell the people that?
Well, we're still in Oregon. The team is still in Oregon, and obviously I have presence there. But really, to be honest with you, about 3.5 weeks ago, we're in the car, and we've been coming down to Arizona for a few years. We have a short-term rental that we own here, and we're in the car. My 14-year-old, who's getting ready to become a freshman in high school, turns to us and says, "I want to change. I want a fresh start. I want to move to Arizona." And I'm like, "Let's go," because I've been in Oregon all my life. I'm done with winters. Arizona has a lot of things that Oregon doesn't have. Oregon's beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I've been there all my life. And there's a lot of opportunity in Arizona. We've had a presence in Arizona for a little while with an agent or two. That didn't work out. And so part of the move to Arizona was more for my family and to provide a different, I won't say better life, but potentially better life for our family. And my son's a competitive golfer, different high school, different opportunities for him. And I love to golf too. So it's a great place for that. But if I'm going to be here, I'm not going to just sit on my hands. I'm going to build. And it's a much bigger pond to try to build and become the top like we were or like we are in Oregon. So it's not going to be an easy, but real estate's a big pie, and to carve out your slice, you just have to work harder than others.
No, of course, man. I hope you manifest your market share, Jake. I really do. and I'm sure you will. I was talking to Jake earlier today, and he mentioned something that was so brilliant. Can you mention how you're going to be implementing AI to scale up your business, and how that's going to contribute to your success, please?
Yeah, AI it's been wild watching it, and we've been fortunate to really start implementing it in our business, and we've got two or three different pieces of AI in our team that we're using, and a lot of it, some of it has to do with time savings. A lot of it has to do with time saving, and so one of them is basically it's AI that lives within our CRM and completely helps our agents organize their CRM by taking it and organizing all of the phone calls and emails and that it has formed and putting it in a nice little summary for them, so that whenever they're contacting a client or a lead, it gives them a summary right there that they can look at. That's one pillar. Another pillar is when an agent's on the phone with the client and it talks about sending them a market evaluation for their home, this AI will text that agent and say, hey, I heard you doing this. Would you like me to set up a reminder or a task for you in your CRM to remind you to go do that? And would you like me to update the stage of this client to, whatever, right? And so CRMs are extreme. Sales businesses, your database is your number one asset, right? Yeah. And it has a lot of value. Mm-hmm. But the only way to run that asset is the operating system is the CRM. And to properly run your database and manage it, you've got to use a CRM. And probably one of the biggest things in this industry is agents have CRMs, they don't all use them. And those that use them probably don't use them consistently and as good enough, right? So the AI is there to help us organize and clean our database and help save agents time. And we were in a team meeting this morning, and our AI, her name's Alex. And you can call Alex, say, hey, can you pull up Jake Rockwell and remind me to send him an email tomorrow or whatever. Or can you add this note to this contact record? I just got done showing the home. Hey, can you pull up Jake Rockwell and put notes in there about 123 Main Street? They really liked the white picket fence and they liked that it was on Main Street. And it'll add those notes for it. So that way the agent doesn't have to log into the CRM and type those notes in for it. It's a personal assistant that will do that for the agent. It'll call, I set up an appointment in a CRM. It'll call the agent an hour after the appointment and say, hey, Jake, how did your appointment go? Tell me about that. What was the result of that appointment? And then when the agent answers, it'll update that lead in the system with the outcome of that appointment, change the stage, and and do whatever other updates we want to it or notes to it. So that's the first AI. The other one is basically we're building a team of AI inside agents that can call and do surveys. They can answer the phones for us. Someone does a home valuation, it can reach out to them and get feedback on how that home valuation went. Was the price too high, too low, just right? And then the end result could be that AI agent will do a live transfer to the agent or set up an appointment to discuss an agent. So doing the work of what live inside sales agents might do in helping with those leads and database and past clients and so forth. So
basically, like I mentioned, this is what he's mentioning is all brilliant stuff. A lot of people have fear that AI is going to take over their jobs, but Jake is literally making me compliment him so he can literally scale up and give every user a 5-star experience how it should be. You don't have to answer this question, but how do you handle criticism or negative feedback if it's ever happened about your work?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, personal criticism. I'm the guy that's always right. No, but it's you have to. It's a work in progress. Let me tell you that, and you got to be humble. You gotta know that you're not the best. And my new goal is to find people that are better than me at everything, and bring them into my organization. Because when I can accomplish that, and I've got a manager on my team now that is better than me in a lot of ways that make it really easy for me, because then it's like, hey, you do it. There was some, news press that we got last week, and he's like, hey, Jake, they want to meet with you. I said, no, you meet with them. Anyway, so the criticism, it's, you have to stop and you have to listen. But if I still feel like I'm right in the situation, then I have to explain, my opinion, and I'm not good at that. I'm not great at explaining my opinion the right way. I'm a reactor, and it's probably one of my biggest weaknesses is reacting to things quickly. And so, but ultimately, we have to listen. We have to really think about what that criticism is, and see if there's room for improvement, because there always is. I'm always preaching that nothing's ever going to be perfect. It's always going to be a progress. One of our biggest quotes in our office is progress, not perfection, as long as we're moving forward and getting better.
No, that's a great mantra to live by, to be honest, completely transparent with you, honest with you. And that you have great self-awareness where you're literally just bringing up top-notch talent to just perform at the most optimal level possible, I would say. What's the story behind your most memorable success and failure, would you say, that stick with you?
Well, probably there's probably the biggest success that shouldn't have probably happened was when I was at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Obviously I was in management, and me and the manager quit our good paying jobs at the time to buy a failing brewery, or a brew pub, which was the Osprey Brew Pub you mentioned. And this place was grossing $5,000 a month in sales, which is what a lot of places will do in an evening, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was failing. So we jumped in, paid ourselves $800 a month, which was a fraction of what we were earning. We got free pretzels and free beer because we owned it. And we never brewed beer in our life. And somehow we built it to be the #1 hot spot in our area. And I look back at the reason, part of it was we bowed to everybody that walked through that door. We bowed to them and basically treated them like our best friend, because we didn't have many customers. And so everyone that walked through that door, it's like, and I look back and now I know exactly why there was success there. And the reason was, in that kind of business, it's built off of regulars, right? Mm-hmm. And if people don't just wake up one morning and decide to be a regular at a bar or a place, right? If they weren't already. So we had to steal regulars from other places. And what we did is we did so many awesome events, open mic, live music, free pizza on Thursdays, or free sushi on Wednesdays. And what that did is it drew those people in for one night because of that. And during that one night, they become friends with the person sitting next to them, and they become friends with that bartender or that person serving them. And then that slowly creates a regular. And that's how that business got built. But that was probably one of the biggest successes, not because of the income off of it, but because of the hurdle that had to happen to make that. We should have never have made that, because we literally borrowed $10,000 each from family and friends. After we bought the business on an owner carry, we had $8,000 left, and we put it all in radio advertising. And somehow, we should have never made it, but we did. Failures was really making my, first million when I was in my low 30s off of some internet companies that I built, and then just completely blowing it by spending, just drinking, to be honest with you. And that was probably my biggest failure. I hit the bottom, didn't, kill anybody or do anything like that. I just woke up one morning and realized that it's really affecting my life. And it was affecting my life in not having the right priorities. I just had I had a 2-year-old kid, and I knew that I needed to change. I woke up one morning and I just quit. And it wasn't super easy, but it was easier than most people probably have it. But I quit, and that was a tough one, because financially crashing when you're on top of the world with selling some businesses for millions of dollars and blowing through it, it was a tough part in our life. But then you got to bounce back.
Dude, Jake, what you're telling you could literally write like a 50-page book or 100-page book in the future about your life. I'm not lying to you.
I've been told that, and I got to get myself off the golf course to do it someday.
Yeah, no, you actually, but you just told me like two priceless stories. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like the bar thing, like ladies and gentlemen, what he's saying is completely right. It on average for a restaurant or a bar, a client has to walk through those doors 5 times to become a regular. So the fact that he had the creativity to make that happen is genius. And the fact that he saw rock bottom and then bounced back stronger than ever, genius. Jake, who or what influences you the most in your work?
Who inspires me the most? Obviously my family. I do everything for my family, but my team. My real estate team. I mean, we do everything as a company to provide the very best for our team members. I want all of my team members to have the same kind of success, same level of success. Inspired wise, like other business leaders, that's a tough one. I don't, I'm self-inspired, or self-motivated and determined to have success. It's kind of an addiction to, building business and creating and success. I'm competitive. So, I mean, I don't know if there's any one person that inspires me as a role model or a leader, but I do a lot of it for my family and my team.
You're completely self-driven and you're ambitious. I can tell. If switching gears a little bit, if you could have dinner with any historical figure, who would it be and why?
Any historical figure? I don't know. I don't know who that would be. Any historical figure?
If you need 2 or 3, if it's easier that on you.
I don't know. I couldn't answer that right off. I wasn't prepared for that question. I don't know.
No worries at all, Jake. No worries at all. How about this? What's your advice for someone starting out industry? Someone to come to you today in Arizona. What's your advice to them to having a deal within 90 days, you think, for them in 2024?
Well, without being biased, I would say join a good team, because real estate teams are the future, and a good team could be leveraged by an agent producing more income and more time on their calendar than doing it on their own. I mean, there's times that I'd like to be on someone else's team, and it's because it's even running a team it's a big thing. You're managing a lot of people, a lot of overhead, and the whole deal. But if you're new in the business, go join a team, learn and soak in everything that they're teaching you, save some money on the expense side, get some opportunities that they provide you. Now, again, it's important to join a good team that has a full, well-rounded team, that has the culture, that has, we've got team members that have been on our team 5, 6, 7 years because of the culture that we provide, the opportunity they provide, and you got to have all of it. You can't just provide leads. You got to have everything. And so join a team, even if it's just for a moment, even if it's just to get going and getting momentum. That's going to get you a deal in escrow the soonest, in my opinion. If you don't join a team, then focus on one thing, and that's having real estate related conversations every day when you wake up. That's how easy the business is. The more conversations you have about real estate with people, whether it's people you know, people you don't know, that will relate to how much business you do.
No, you're totally right. You did. Yeah, real estate really is it's a contact sport. The more activity you have, the better. The more at bats you have, the more the chances are you're going to hit a home run. And then, what's the biggest lesson you learned in your career so far? Would you say?
Probably it comes down around financial part of it, and that's you don't need all the stuff, you don't need all the toys. Buy cash flowing assets. I'm in the industry, so I'm a big believer in investing in the real estate for cash flow purposes. One of the biggest stresses in life revolves around money, and if you want to not have that stress, have a good savings, and make sure that you're saving a certain percentage of your income to have that backup money, your retirement, your kids' college fund or whatever. And so after my crash, which caused me to learn this, I mean, we lived really low, and all I did is keep putting money into rental properties and assets. And it was 5-6 years. I mean, I was making a lot of money before I ended up buying another house for myself. I was renting. And I mean, I bought other rental properties for us, but not for us to live in. And so eventually we did. But it comes around, put your money away. Don't spend more than you make, and don't blow it on things that don't pay you. I joke around every time I look at a car for $100,000, and I still haven't bought $100,000 car, because every 100,000 equals $1,000 in rent to me, and I'm going to buy a rental unit before I buy a $100,000 car. So think about what you're buying, think about what you could buy and what you could buy that could generate income to go buy, things that you want. So.
No, you're totally right, Jake. I love your mentality. Just buy appreciating assets and cash flow, okay, and write off taxes. Like your game is genius. And then, what do you think is the key to maintaining a work-life balance, and how do you apply it in your life?
Well, I'm not the greatest at it, but leverage is key. So obviously, when I first started, having an assistant and delegating things, investing in people. And so what I mean by that is you might be, I hire agents. Oh, I'm doing X amount of deals, but I'm not quite ready to hire somebody, right? And it's backwards. You have to be like, okay, you're never going to be ready to hire somebody until you hire somebody. And then that time frees up to go be able to do more things or spend more time with your family, right? So really to directly answer your question, it really has to do with our devices, right? I mean, trying to be present, and I'm terrible at it. I am on my phone a lot, and you don't even want to know what my screen time is, but trying to be present, and especially if you've got a family and kids, being present for them. We do a lot of traveling for my son's tournament golf. This evening, he'll have his very first high school match. He's a freshman. He made the high school team. He's one of the starters on the first match, which is cool. So we'll be there to watch him, in his first high school match. And so we try to, I just try to be present. And I try to do some of my work when maybe the family's not around, so that I can get it done and that I can try to be more present. But, again, in all honesty, I'm not great at it, but leverage has helped a lot. Hiring, giving other people an opportunity to live a good life and earn a good income, which took stuff off my plate and allowed them an opportunity to start growing as well.
No, it makes total sense, Jake. Makes total sense. Congrats to your son making the high school team.
Thanks. Yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah, if you can, maybe consider invest one of the best coaches for him, that we can go pro if he's that.
Yeah.
If he's already that good, you know what I mean. And then what's the most challenging aspect of being in your role in today's world, would you say?
What's the most challenging what?
The aspect of being in I guess as a broker in today's world, just the managing, or what would you say?
Yeah, I mean, just dealing with the amount of personnel. We got, I think, close to 50 people on our team between agents and admin, and just dealing with the different personalities, trying to eliminate any bit of drama that comes with having that many personalities, and managing all of the moving parts that come along with a large, operation. I sometimes joke around. I want things to be simple, yet I keep adding complexity to my life, right? I want to do another business, or I want to add this to the business. And so anyway, but that's probably the difficult part in this role when you have a lot of people in an organization, is just managing the human beings, and your time.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, you are catering to everybody. You have to cater to everyone different. Not everyone's cookie cutter the same. So yeah, I can only imagine you really know in the back of your head how to maneuver, I would say. And then
and probably and the other thing is trying to understand personally is something that's common sense to me isn't always going to be common sense to somebody else. And I have a really difficult time. How can you not see this? How do you not understand this? And so it's knowing that not everyone's the same as you, right? And they never will be, and recognize that that's another weakness that I've got, but it's a work in progress.
No, but you're self-aware. Like you're so
Yeah.
like very few. Some people get stuck in their bad habits. Like they never want to take a step back and look at the bigger picture. But
self-aware is one thing. Being self-aware is one thing, but actually working on solving that is the hard part too. I know exactly what's wrong with me, and it's a matter of really, really trying to improve it.
No, I'm sure you will. You're with your mantra in your office. You're always continuously improve. I know it. What are your goals for the next 5 to 10 years? Do you just want to are you going to maintain 2 teams, or like what are your goals? What's your vision for these next 5 to 10 years? Would you say?
Yeah, for the company, absolutely expanding in the areas that make sense, and our expansion is based on people. It's not based on certain locations. It's based on the right person that happens to be in a certain location. So, we recently expanded and merged with a smaller team in Northern Oregon, but I knew that we had the right person, right? And there's been a lot of mistakes along the way, bringing and partnering with people in different locations that weren't the right people. So growing and expanding throughout Oregon, and getting Arizona off the ground and actually successful for once. And since I'm here, I don't have an option. I've got to make it happen, and we will. But that's for the business, and then opening up other buckets, other partnerships with people, other business avenues that allow growth and income through that allow someone else to be a part owner, whether it's someone in my organization or not, and just grow different avenues that maybe align with the industry or even outside the industry, and continue to spend as much time with my family, and grow our real estate portfolio, and travel and do all the things that we love to do. Wake up each and every day doing exactly what we want.
No, yeah, you either love what you do, or you love the people that you work with. It sounds like you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And can you explain to the public how you're setting up the culture within your office? I'm sure you see what's happening in August as an opportunity for you to take more market share. Can you explain how you're relaying that to your office? 'Cause I'm sure some of them might be a little hesitant of having to be transparent up front, from even meeting a stranger to getting them sign an agreement. But how are you implementing a opportunity culture for this? That's what's about to occur.
Yeah, I think we started really early when it all came out, and we talk about it every single week in our team meetings. We do some role playing. We talk about strategy, and we jumped in early on starting to have those conversations, getting those agreements in place, learning how to, and today I had everybody share how those, because for us it started in Oregon, it started August 1st. And here in Arizona, it just started, Saturday. And so really being just diving in, getting everybody involved, everybody sharing, brainstorming, learning from our company. We're fortunate to have a really forward-thinking company. EXP's just they're like ahead, and they jumped out immediately with their leadership on teaching the whole industry on how to make this change and so forth. And so setting the right expectations, having good conversations with those clients early on what to expect, why they have to sign an agreement, what their options are after signing an agreement, what that means to them when they're writing off, or we make sure that they fully understand, hey, everything's cancelable on our end. If you're not happy with us at any point, just like our listings, we don't hold anybody into a contract like that for the most part, and unless there's something not right. But culture-wise, though, culture's big, and you can't create culture on purpose. It just happens, right? And our culture has evolved from genuinely caring about our people and their lives, their personal lives, and genuinely wanting them to have success. We do a lot of team events. Like Friday, I fly back to Medford to Oregon, and we're doing a jet boat trip with a group of our agents. And so we try to do a lot of team events and their families and all that. We do a lot of big client events where we get their clients together and do some fun stuff. And that's all good and dandy stuff. That's all good, but it really comes down to truly caring about the people and being there for them, helping them get, a lot of agents on a team. They're like, I want to be like Jake. I want to be like that. And they don't really know what they don't really know. But anyway, but people want that. They want that success, right? And we all want success. And there's people that I'm in Scottsdale now, and I may have been a big fish in a small pond back in Oregon, but it's a different story here. I mean, there's a lot of wealth in this area, and much bigger than a lot more success than I've had. So it's it's helping them get to that point. It's helping them get that. Obviously, you can't force them to do the activities it takes to get there, but you can show it and share with them what it took. But yeah.
Now you're talking about you lead by example. You're super pragmatic in everything that you do and whatever you set your mind to, which I applaud you for that. What's your favorite book, podcast, or article that's had a significant impact on your life or work, would you say?
I mean, I made my son read Rich Dad Poor Dad when he was like, I don't know, 8 or 9. And I mean, old book, but it puts things into perspective, right? Another, what was that? There's a few other books too, but podcast wise, I listen to some of the podcasts from Bigger Pockets on the investment side. I probably, I listen to the Rebel Capitalist because it talks about macroeconomics in our world. And as we all know, there's a lot going on economically in our world, a lot of things going on in our world, right? That are different than we have been used to in the past. And so I listen to the Rebel Capitalist, but what else? And then there's some team building podcasts that I like to listen to. I'm big into crypto, so I listen to some crypto stuff. Anything that revolves around the industries I'm in, and some self-help type stuff. There's some good books out there.
Nah, Jake, you're playing a long game. Like you literally have like a 5-10 year like time horizon almost. Most people, I don't know if you know, but they only have like a time frame like 6 months or today. So like the fact that you can see, you're always looking like 5-10 years ahead. You're always ahead of the game, which is where you are. That's probably why you are where you're at in today. But have you ever been driving? Or like, have you ever been like on your phone or watching TV? Like, maybe if I wasn't in real estate, I would be doing something else. Like, have you ever wondered, like, what would you be doing in real estate if you had an opportunity to do something else other than real estate? What would it be?
Well, if I would have bought Bitcoin in 2009, I probably wouldn't be doing real estate. What were we thinking? If I would have bought those domain names back in the early whenever, but I don't know. It's I think about what I never want to change what happened in the past or anything, because every little turn you make and everything you do is where you're at now. And even if where you're at now is not where you want to be, you still can't look at what caused you to get there. You can only, okay, if I want to get here, what are the things that I have to do to get here? And there's lots of ways to find that path. Asking successful people, what does it take, and what do you need to do on a day-to-day basis? Are you waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning? Are you going to the gym? Are you putting the work in? Are you, and if you look at, the most successful people, what are they doing? So if I was doing something else, I would be in some form of business. I would be working for myself. I've worked for others, and though that's fine, but we've got to create freedom, financial freedom at some point. Otherwise, we're a slave to And again, working for somebody else is great if you're taking that income and producing future freedom for you, right? But I'd be in some form of business. I don't know what kind of business. I really, really liked the internet business when I built the billiards company called RockwellBilliards.com, one of the largest, well, it was the #1 online billiards retailer in the country at the time. And pet products website. I really love those businesses because I remember some of my first sales, I'd be on the golf course and I'd have to pick up my ball because I was making $30 off of selling one product, and that just paid for that round of golf. And all I had to do is give up one hole of 18 holes. And so, and I loved it because I was making money while I was sleeping. And people in e-commerce, it was e-commerce businesses, and just selling products. And this is early days of Google AdWords, and those businesses were incredible. I ran them out of my house, and so if there was one business that I miss, and I don't normally miss a lot of my past businesses or work, it's the internet business, and I'll probably be back in that business at some point in my life because I loved that business.
No, I believe it. I believe it, Jake. That you are super creative, I would say. And like the fact that you can analyze trade-offs for return on investment, like that you got something going on, I would say. And what's one piece of advice you wish you had received early in your career?
Again, it would have to be the financial part of it. And really, I mean, we got that advice from our grandparents, right? Save, put money in your, retirement. But it's so true. And same stuff that I kind of talked about earlier, just the financial part of it. Don't spend more than you make. Don't take on debt unless it's good debt, like real estate debt or cash flowing type debt. And put your time in now so that you don't have to later. And you put your time in early, and then you get your freedom later, right? And yeah.
All right, no, it makes total sense. I got 2 more questions for you. One was second to last question. I'm gonna be rewatching this when I'm 80 years old. Can you leave me a message, please, when I'm rewatching this when I'm old?
When you're old, I don't know. What would I tell you? What message would I leave when you're old? So I don't know. I don't know what you mean.
I don't know, maybe like any life piece of advice, maybe that you've already learned that you want that sticks with you. That I can.
Well, remember that when you're old and there's nobody old and on their deathbed that wish that they had worked more. There's nobody on their deathbed that wish that they had made more money. They're probably wishing that they had more time with their family and their friends. So that would be a message to remember. And there's a I don't know where I got the fact or if it's a fact, but it lives with me. 93% of the time we get to spend with our children is in the first 18 years. And so that means after they turn 18, you get about 7% of the time that you'll spend in their life is after they're 18 because they're going off to college, they're building their own families, and wherever they move, 7%. So put that time in with your kids early, and respect your time. I'm a stickler about using my time wisely, and though I waste time too, like everyone, but I feel like I'm always spending my time doing something productive outside of the free time of, maybe, watching some sports or whatever. But I don't watch much TV. I only watch sports on TV. And when I'm in a car, I try not to drive so that I can be productive on my phone.
Yeah, you're always seizing the opportunity. Like you are always on it. Like you're always doubling down, making sure you play to only your strengths. But thank you for that piece of advice. That what you said is completely true, and I take that to the heart. My final question: what legacy do you hope to leave behind through your work when it's all said and done?
I would say that the legacy is that the business operates without me. People always wonder, well, you're going to sell the business eventually. Why would I ever sell it? You should be able to build a business that, like Ford, he's not around and Ford's still running. So why can't this business be running? But most importantly is the legacy of teaching my son good work ethic, success, what it takes to be success, and obviously being a good human being. And so that's number one thing that I hope to accomplish, that he gets to live a great life. He's a good person, and he knows what work ethic's about and what it takes, which is hard to do when we live a good lifestyle. Obviously didn't come without work, and so he gets to live that lifestyle. And so it's a balance on teaching him that, hey, this isn't just handed to people. This is, it takes work to do it. So teaching him those good qualities is the legacy I'd like to leave behind.
Yeah, of course. And I'm sure him being in golf, like he can see for himself that he can see competition is real. Like there's always, like, he can see for himself that there's always going to be competition in real life, even it's not including in sports. Like it's always competition, basically.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we saw it this weekend when he played in a big tournament here in Scottsdale. He took 6th out of 34 kids, and he should have had first, but he didn't put his all in, and he was on his phone, and he was texting some people. It was just BS, but different conversation. And it's teaching whatever you do. I remember when I was a dishwasher at a restaurant in high school. When I cleaned those dishes, I tried to keep that dishwasher area, clean those dishes. I tried to do it like the very, 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 very best I could, even though it wasn't something I necessarily wanted to do. And so whatever it is you're doing, you're teaching them to do it great. If you're going to wash my golf cart, I tell my son, you're going to wash my golf cart, do it the very best you can. And it's really rewarding when you see them really actually get into it, because nothing's distracting them. And now they really want to do a good job. And so going all in on whatever you're doing, that's where success is. Success doesn't sleep in either.
That Jake just talked. I realize you're dialed in, super focused, pushing boundaries. You try to break 100%. You try to go 110, 120. Like, I love it. I eat it up. Do you have any final comments, thoughts, or even questions for me for anything before I let you go?
No, I don't think so. I obviously, I really appreciate you having me. It's been a fun conversation, and I think that obviously set big goals, but don't focus on the goals. Focus on the activities that achieve the goals. Too many people have these goals rather than focusing on, because the goals can be so big that they're so far reaching. And make big goals, but then once that's done, focus on the day-to-day and the week-to-week and the month-to-month activities that will reach that goal. And if you focus on that, you track those things that you're doing, it'll happen. So I mean, that would be another big piece of advice that we try to teach in our business. I try to teach my son. He wants to shoot under par in golf, and I'm like, look, don't focus on shooting under par. Focus on having good practice when you're practicing, and practicing this much or this often or whatever, right? So anyway, that'd be my final thought.
No, that's a great final thought, to be honest with you. Like, an idea is only an idea until you execute on it. So what you're saying is completely true, facts, absolutes, and pure gems. Thank you for all the golden nuggets that you shared with me, Jake. Can you stay on the call for 1 or 2 minutes, please, after I end this?
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from Jake Rockwell, who's a king both in the state of Oregon and Arizona. Look him up in a couple years, and you realize he's still dominating in the game. Thank you for your time, Jake. It was a pleasure and honor.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.